Before we start building our local practicing lab with the help of Vagrant, let's take a look at different options of installing Ansible on various operating systems. First of all, the only thing you should know about Ansible is that it is Python dependent. So once Python is installed, the simplest way to get Ansible running is to use pip and a simple package manager for Python. Now, if you want to install Ansible on a Mac, first you have to install Homebrew, then install Python and install Ansible itself. So when you install Homebrew, you run brew install Python, and then you issue the command sudo pip install Ansible. You could also install Ansible via Homebrew with brew install Ansible command. If you try to install Ansible on Windows, the things become a bit complicated in this solution. The easiest way would be to use a Linux virtual machine with something like VirtualBox to do your work. Another way to use Ansible on Windows is installing Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL. It is available on Windows 10, and it will allow you to run Linux command line inside of Windows 10 box. One more solution to run Ansible on Windows is to run it within an appropriately configured Cygwin environment. Cygwin is a program which allows you to have functionality similar to a Linux distribution. For this course, I'll be using Ansible on CentOS Linux distribution, and it'll be provisioned or installed with the help of Vagrant. Actually, it'll take less than 5 minutes. You can add as many virtual machines as you want to this environment. I'll be using 7 virtual machines, one machine for master server or Ansible master node, and others for client nodes. Now let me power up my environment with the command vagrant up. This command will initiate the environment itself. Once it's done, we'll be ready to install Ansible on master node. The environment is ready, and I'll log in to the master node with a vagrant SSH command. I'll type vagrant SSH master. In this case, master is the name of my CentOS Linux server. Now, the easiest way to install Ansible on a Fedora-like system is to use the official yum package. So you have to just type sudo yum-y install Ansible. If you want to install Ansible on Debian or Ubuntu, you have to run the following command sudo apt-get update, and after updating your repositories, you have to run sudo apt-get install-y Ansible. Once Ansible is installed, make sure it's working properly by entering Ansible --version, and you'll see the currently installed version. Now, before starting issuing the Ansible commands, we need to perform some more steps for our machines to be accessible with SSH and reachable by name. So first of all, we have to edit the hosts file. We have to add the names and their IP addresses to the etc hosts file. Let's open up this file with your favorite editor like Nano or VI and add some hosts to it. In my case, it's already populated, but you have to type the host's IP address and its name to this file. After you complete editing, save the changes and try to pin the host by typing pin and its name. For example, pin db1, and it should be reachable by its name. The second step is to perform some manipulation with SSH keys, because Ansible uses SSH very intensively. First of all, we have to create this key on our master node with the following command, ssh-keygen. I'll create this key with all the defaults by pressing enter 3 times, and the result should look like this. The public key is now located in your home directory and in the .ssh subdirectory. Let me list it with the ls command. I'll type ls /.ssh and press tab to see all the files in this directory. And this is the key we need. It's called id_rsa.pub. It's a public key created under your specific user. This key is created under the user you are now logged in with. That's why it is located in your home directory. In my case, it's a Vagrant user. I'll be using it during this course. Now for the other machines, the other virtual servers, to know and trust us, we have to copy this key to these servers. We'll perform this action with the help of the following command, ssh -copy-id, and we'll copy this key with -i option, followed by the name of the user and the server you are copying this key to. So we'll type ssh-copy-id-i vagrant at db1, the name of the server. Then you have to type yes, and you have to type your password, the password for this user, vagrant user in my case. And you have to perform the steps for all the servers you are going to use for this lab, or for all the servers you are considering to be client nodes for Ansible. After it is done, we are ready to go. Ansible is mainly used with playbooks to allow subtasks to be scripted and organized in a handy pipeline. However, Ansible also has various ad hoc commands. These commands can be issued in command line. So once Ansible is installed, the ad hoc command line can be used directly. It can be easily tested with such module as pin. For example, you could type Ansible localhost -m, -m means module, because Ansible uses modules, pin, and you'll get an output similar to mine. You can issue some echo command, for example, try typing Ansible localhost -a. As you can see, we are using -a, it means we are running raw command. A raw command is basically any line of bash or PowerShell code to be sent to the host or hosts. For you to know, it's better to always use modules instead of raw commands, but you can do it as well. So let's continue. We are typing -a, double quotes, echo, hello world, close single quote, close double quote. Something like the following output will appear after executing this command. Now, if we want to issue the commands not only on the local host, but run it on several remote servers or even groups of servers, that's when we'll need Ansible inventory file. Ansible inventory is basically a simple .ini file that contains a list of IP addresses, fully qualified host names, or short host names, and sometimes it can contain extra variables that define some aspects about the hosts. Generally, hosts are organized in groups, with the name of the group put on top between two square brackets. It'll be a good idea to put this Ansible inventory file in your home directory, and after that work just in your inventory file. So let's create a directory named Ansible by typing mkdir Ansible and change directory to this newly created one by typing cd Ansible. And here we'll create an inventory file by typing nano hosts. Now let's add a new group to this inventory file. We should type the name of the group in square brackets, and we'll call it db, and add some servers to this group. I'll type 192.168.1.3 and .4. After it is done, I'll press Ctrl X and save changes. Now we can refer to this group of servers and to this host's files when issuing Ansible commands. So for example, you could type Ansible-m pin -i, meaning inventory, and then specify to the path to your inventory. In my case, it's located in home folder, which is /Ansible/hosts. Now, if you don't want to create your own inventory file, but you want to use the default inventory file which is created after Ansible is set up, it is located in etc Ansible directory. Let me open it with nano editor. I'll type nano/etc/Ansible hosts. As you can see, I've already pre-populated it with some groups of servers for this lab. We've got group of servers, web servers, database servers, application servers, and we've also got a group with all servers. As you can see, this group is named miscellaneous, and it includes all the groups such as web, app, and DB. To include some subgroups of servers in a group of servers, you have to use this :children option. Now when we have our inventory list set up, let's try pinning hosts in DB group. I'll type Ansible db-m and the name of the module. In this case it's pin in double quotes. I can repeat this command, but now I can pin app servers group. And as you can see, I've got a successful reply. If I want to ping all my servers, all my hosts, I can use misc servers group, which contains 3 subgroups with all the servers in this environment. Let's try checking the host names of the servers. I'll use Ansible with the -a argument and host name in quotes to run host name against all the servers. And I'll type Ansible misc-a host name. Now let's make sure the servers have disk space available for our applications. We can type Ansible misc-a df-h in double quotes. After that, we can make sure there is enough memory on our servers by typing Ansible misc-a free-m in double quotes. As I said, Ansible works with modules. When installing Ansible, the user will also receive a very handy set of modules. If you want to find out more about how some specific module is used, you can use the Ansible-doc command followed by the name of the module. Let's check apt module. We'll type Ansible-doc apt, and we can read about the necessary options. For example, name, we have to specify the name of the package we want to install with apt. State, we can choose is it latest, absent or present. We can specify apt-date _ cache. This will run the equivalent of apt-get update command before the operation of installing some specific package. Or upgrade option, it will run the equivalent of the apt-get upgrade, and it could be used with safe, full or dist choices. For example, full will perform an aptitude full upgrade. If you want to list all the available modules, you can use the -l option. Let's type Ansible-doc-l. And as you can see, Ansible default installation comes with lots and lots default out-of-the-box modules. To exit from this list, press Q. By now you know how to run ad hoc commands. But if you want to run a bunch of commands and instructions, you need to create a playbook. Playbook is a YAML formatted file that contains these instructions, or plays. Now let's create our first playbook containing only one play. I'll create a directory called Playbooks inside of the Ansible directory, and after that, let me create a file and name it ping.yaml. Then open it by typing nano ping.yaml, and now let's start filling in the playbook. At the top, every YAML file in Ansible starts with 3 dashes. Below add hosts, all. Then press enter and add 2 spaces. Add tasks, indent 2 spaces again and add pin, space tilde. With YAML, you do need to be careful. The spacing and indentation are important. Now let's save it and try running our first playbook by typing Ansible-playbook pin.yaml. And after it ran, we can see the result. It runs the pin module against all hosts in DB group. Now let's recap. A playbook contains plays. In our case, we've got only one play. Later, if you add another host's line with its own tasks below it, that would be a second play. So a playbook contains plays, and play contains tasks, and each task executes a module. In our first playbook, we are running a pin module. We've configured this playbook to run against all the hosts in DB group. But if we want to run a playbook against only one server or one host, we should change the host's inventory file and add this one server as a separate group. In previous lessons we learned about the different components of Ansible. We also saw how the modules are used to perform one function or task at a time. And we created our first playbook with only one play. Now let's recap the main aspects regarding playbooks. Playbooks define variables, configurations, deployment steps, assign roles, perform multiple tasks. For example, you can copy or delete files and folders, install packages, start services, and so on. So primarily, playbooks are defined to orchestrate the steps to multiple machines or servers. As you might remember, playbook is written in YAML format with a .yaml file extension. and one needs to be very careful with the format and alignment, which makes it very sensitive. As you might remember, it contains the following sections. First of all, you have to start the playbook with 3 hyphens. Then goes host section, variable section, and task section. Host section defines the target machines on which the playbook should run. This is based on the Ansible inventory file. Variable section is optional and can be declared or not. In this section you declare all the variables needed in the playbook. And task section lists out all the tasks that should be executed on the target machine. It specifies the use of modules, and every task has a name, which is a small description of what the task will do, and will be listed while the playbook is run. To run the playbook, please type the following command: Ansible playbook and the name of the playbook. If you want to check the playbook for syntax errors, you can add --syntax-check parameter. If you want to view hosts list, you can add --list-hosts parameter. And if you want to list all the tasks, you can add --list-tasks. Now let's take a look at different examples of tasks which you can perform with playbooks. I'll create a new file which I'll call basic.yaml. First we'll add 3 dashes and we'll add the first task which we created during the previous lesson. In this task we check the connectivity to the servers in app servers group with pin module. Now let's create a new task in which we'll create a new file. It will be done on hosts in app group and we'll use the name module. The syntax of this module is as follows. You have to type its name, in this case it's file, and you have to type the path to this file and the name of the file. In my case, the path will be in home directory vagrant and the file will be named file.txt. The state is touch, which means that we'll create just an empty file. Please pay your attention at this line with become feature. As you might know, in Linux and in Windows, many tasks need to be executed by a specific user, either to access restricted resources or to enable user-specific services. This Ansible become feature, or you could use become user feature, allows to perform this specific task with, for example, sudo privileges. So, for example, if you want to install some packages or to perform some actions which require administrative privileges, you can use this feature. Okay, in this task we created a file. Now let's create a directory. To create a directory, we also use a file module. And the syntax is like as follows. You have to specify the path to this directory, you have to specify the state, which is directory, and you can also specify read, write, and execute permissions and the owner and group for this specific directory. In my example, I'll create Ansible directory with the following read-write permissions. The owner will be vagrant and group will be vagrant. Now let's save this playbook with these three tasks and try running it. But before we run it, let's check these tasks with the list tasks parameter. I'll type ansible-playbook basic.yaml --list tasks. And the output will be all the tasks which will be run for this specific playbook. As you can see, our playbook consists of 3 plays. Here are the names of the plays. The first one is example with pin module, the second one is create a file, and the third one is create a directory. Now let's run it. I'll erase --list tasks parameter and press enter. And after it is executed, we can see the play recap. Here we'll find the information about each host and whether it was successful or not, whether Ansible changed anything and how many changes it performed. The tasks in which Ansible changed something are marked with dark yellow, and if nothing was changed, these tasks are marked in green. Now to make use of Ansible Ad Hoc Commands, let's perform the following command to check this specific directory and file which we've created. I'll type Ansible app-a, I'll open double quotes, ls-la home vagrant, and I'll close double quotes. And in this output we can find the directory Ansible with specified permissions and the file, which name is file.txt. As you can see, the permissions of the file is different from the permission of the Ansible directory, because we didn't specify the permissions for that specific file. And the same output we can find for our second server in app group. Welcome back. In the previous lesson we've created a new playbook, and it consisted of 3 plays, in which we first checked the connectivity, then we created a file and created a directory. Now, if we don't need this file and this directory anymore, we can delete it with the following tasks. We'll use file module again, but instead of state equals touch for file and state equals directory for directory, we'll type state absent for both of them. Now let's say that we want to create multiple directories. We'll use file module again, but in this case we'll use the loop with item statement. So when you run the below playbook, it is interpreted as 3 different tasks. But you can add as many tasks here as you need. So the line will look like following. You'll type file path equals item in 4 curly braces. The state will equal to directory, and next you have to add with underscore items and specify the items you want to use. For example, if you want to create 3 directories, dir1, dir2, dir3 within Vagrant directory, you have to specify them as follows. Dash space and the item in single quotes. In my case I have got 3 items, but there could be more. By the way, you can use this loop statement when you want to install several packages or remove several packages, or create a set of files or users. In any situation, it's very useful. Now let's look at the user module and create and delete users in our playbook. As I said, to create a user, you use user module. And the syntax is as follows. You have to specify user's name, password, you can specify groups and user shell. If you want to remove a user, you have to specify the state equivalent to absent, remove yes, and you can use force parameter. Let's continue working with playbook, and for further demonstration examples I'll need to create 3 files. To accomplish this, I'll use the loop statement again and use the loop with items. I'll create file 1, file 2 and file 3. Now if you want to copy content to a file using the copy module, you can add the following lines. Copy, content equal the content you want to add in double quotes and the destination for your file where you want to copy this content. So when we have files in place, in some point of time we'll need to archive these files and zip them. We'll get back to zipping and unzipping files after we install the appropriate packages to perform these operations. And that's when we need the packaging modules such as apt and yum. So let's perform the following actions. Let's update and clean up Linux operating systems with yum and apt modules. In my case, I've got Ubuntu and Red Hat Linux systems, so I'll need to separate them somehow. And for now, let's keep it in mind. Now, this task will perform the update on Linux Debian systems with apt packaging system module. The syntax is as follows. You have to specify the name of the task again, and the module name. In this case it's apt, because we are updating Debian-like systems. We'll perform upgrade and update simultaneously. And notice this when parameter. That's how you will separate Debian-like systems from Red Hat systems. So this task will be performed only on Ubuntu servers. And the next task is for Red Hat servers. It's almost the same, but we've got yum module here. Again, this will be performed only on Red Hat systems with the help of this when parameter. The next task will clean up Debian Linux systems from cache and unused packages. Now let's install some packages on our systems. Again, we want to install the packages with yum on Red Hat systems and packages with apt on Ubuntu systems. We'll be installing vim package, git package, nano editor, and we'll install zip, unzip, gzip, bzip and rsync packages. And again we are using this when parameter to separate our Red Hat systems from Debian-like systems. The same task will go for Ubuntu systems, but in this case we'll use apt. Now when we have our files to be compressed available on the target servers and the packages for tar, bzip, gzip and zip file installed on them, we can have a task which will zip the files or one file to a newly created archive. For this we'll use archive module with the following parameter path, and we have to specify the path to our files. In my case, the files are located in home, vagrant and archive file 1 and file 2. And we have to specify destination. In my case it's home vagrant files.zip and the format is zip. And again, let's check it with the Ansible Ad Hoc Command by typing Ansible app or misc. As you remember, misc in my case it's a list of server groups which contains app, db and web servers. And we'll add -a and the command itself, ls-la home vagrant. And we can see the output of this directory. We've got files in place and files.zip archive.